Dad, I've been thinking a lot lately about us, about what happened between you and Mom. It's something that's been on my mind, and I think it's time we talked about it. As we sit here with our coffee, I want to ask you some things, and maybe share a few thoughts of my own. Let's have an honest conversation, just you and me. Life has been full of changes, Dad. Ever since you and Mom separated, I've had so many questions swirling around in my head. I know it wasn't an easy time for any of us, and I've always wondered what really happened. I guess I've been afraid to ask, afraid of what I might hear, but I know it's important. Today, as we share this coffee, I want to talk to you about our past, about your divorce with Mom, and how it shaped our lives. I'm not here to place blame. I just want to understand, to hear your side of the story. I remember when I was younger, how happy we all seemed. There were those mornings when I'd wake up to the smell of coffee and laughter coming from the kitchen. You and Mom would be sitting together talking about your plans for the day. To me, it seemed like everything was perfect. But as I got older, I started to notice things. Arguments, tension, the quiet moments that felt heavy. I didn't understand it back then, but now I realize that things weren't as perfect as they seemed. It's like when you take a sip of coffee, expecting it to be sweet, but instead, it's bitter. I guess that's how life can be sometimes. You and Mom were trying so hard, but things were changing, weren't they? I just wish I had known sooner, so maybe I could have done something to help. The day you and Mom decided to separate is one I'll never forget. I remember sitting in my room, clutching a cup of hot chocolate, hearing your voices downstairs. I didn't understand everything that was being said, but I knew something was wrong. When you came upstairs to tell me, I could see it in your eyes. You were hurting, and that hurt me too. You told me that you and Mom had decided to live apart, that it wasn't anyone's fault, but it was what you both needed. I didn't know what to say, so I just nodded, trying to be strong. But inside, I felt like my whole world was falling apart. I remember thinking that maybe, just maybe, if I had been better, if I had done something differently, you and Mom would have stayed together. It's taken me a long time to realize that it wasn't my fault. Just like a cup of coffee, sometimes things get cold, and no matter how much you want to warm them up, it's just not possible. I see now that you and Mom made the decision out of love, not just for each other, but for me too. You wanted what was best for all of us, even if it meant going through something painful. After the divorce, everything felt different. Our routine changed, our home felt emptier, and I missed the way things used to be. I remember those weekends when I'd come to stay with you, and you'd try so hard to make things feel normal. We'd have our special breakfast, with you brewing coffee and me with my hot chocolate, and we'd talk about anything and everything. But there were times when I felt like something was missing, like there was a gap that we couldn't quite fill. I missed the days when we were all together, and I think you did too. But even through all the changes, you never stopped being there for me. You were always ready to listen, to support me, to make sure I knew I was loved. It wasn't easy adjusting to our new life. It was like trying to enjoy a cup of coffee that didn't quite taste the same as before. But over time, I began to see the good in it. We created new traditions, new memories, and slowly, things started to feel okay again. I realized that even though our family had changed, the love we shared hadn't. And that was what mattered most. As I grew older, the questions in my mind didn't go away. I still wondered why things had to end the way they did, why you and Mom couldn't make it work. I wanted to know what had gone wrong, what could have been done differently. It's something I've struggled with for a long time, trying to make sense of it all. But as I sit here with you now, with our coffee, I think I'm starting to understand. Life isn't always fair, and it doesn't always go the way we want it to. Sometimes, even when two people love each other, they just can't stay together. It's not about failing or giving up. It's about recognizing when something isn't right and having the courage to make a change. I see now that you and Mom did the best you could with the situation you were in. You both wanted to protect me, to make sure I grew up in a home filled with love, even if that meant living apart. It was a hard decision, but it was the right one. And I'm grateful that you both cared enough to make that choice, even though it was painful. You know, During those tough times, I noticed that you started taking better care of yourself. You'd always have your morning coffee, but you added something extra to it. Something that seemed to give you more energy, more focus. I wasn't sure what it was at first, but I could tell it made a difference. If it's something that helped you during those difficult days, I'd love to learn more about it. Maybe it could help me too. If it's okay, I'll check the link below to find out more. One of the things I appreciate most is how you never let our connection fade, even after everything that happened. You made sure we still had our special moments together, whether it was sharing a meal, going for a walk, or just sitting down with our coffee and talking. Those moments meant the world to me, Dad. They reminded me that no matter what, I still had you by my side. As I've grown older, I've come to realize that staying connected isn't just about spending time together. It's about being there for each other, emotionally and mentally. You showed me that even when life gets tough, even when things don't go as planned, we can still hold on to the things that matter most. And that's our love for each other. No matter where life takes us, I know that our bond will always be strong. We've been through so much together, and we've come out stronger because of it. It's like brewing the perfect cup of coffee. It takes time, patience, and a little bit of love, but in the end, it's worth it. Dad, I've learned so much from our conversation today. Life isn't always easy, and it's full of challenges that we never saw coming. But through it all, you've shown me that we can find strength in the love we share, and that's what keeps us going. I understand now why things happened the way they did, and while it wasn't easy, I'm grateful for the choices you and Mom made. You both did what you thought was best, and because of that, we've been able to move forward, to heal, and to grow closer. As we finish our coffee and get ready for whatever comes next, I want you to know that I'll always be here for you, just like you've always been there for me. We've come a long way, and I know we'll continue to face whatever life throws at us together. And Dad, if that special something you added to your coffee helped you during those tough times, I'd love to give it a try. Maybe it's just what I need to start my day off right. I'll check out the link below to learn more. Here's to life with all its ups and downs. Let's embrace it fully, today and always.